Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new legal breaking reporting. Surprisingly, it's a win for the rule of law and a significant downfall and loss for the Trump administration / Trump regime / the U.S. government. The Supreme Court at about 10 p.m. last night, 1 a.m. Saturday morning on the East Coast, 10 p.m. on the Pacific Coast, 6 a.m. on the West Coast, has significantly ruled in a unanimous 7-2 ruling for the Trump, for the Trump regime to ultimately halt Venezuelan deportation flights to El Salvador in a unanimous 7-2 ruling. Why? Because they never gave any Venezuelan migrants or alleged gang members from Venezuela due process, which is guaranteed under the Fifth Amendment. Let's take a look at the reporting. This by ABC News. The article, ladies and gentlemen, is titled Supreme Court Orders Trump Administration Not to Deport Venezuelans, under the Alien Enemies Act for now. Ladies and gentlemen, that article reads, the Supreme Court in the early hours of Saturday like I said at the beginning of the video, being today, ladies and gentlemen, told the Trump administration not to take any action to deport Venezuelan men based in Texas it alleges are gang members. The Supreme Court did not grant or deny an application filed by lawyers for the detainees, but effectively hit pause on the case, which affects people currently held within the jurisdiction of the Northern District of Texas. Quote, the government is directed not to remove any Venezuelan member of the putative class of detainees from the United States until further notice, until further order of this court, the brief order said. Two conservative justices, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, disagreed with the Supreme Court decision, the order noted. At around the same time, the New Orleans-based Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected a request by the men who the administration alleges are gang members to halt any deportations under a wartime law called the Alien Enemies Act. On Friday afternoon, being yesterday afternoon, yesterday afternoon. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had to think there for a second. Yesterday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At least one charter bus rolled up to the Blue Hornet Detention Center in Anson, Texas, a town about 200 miles west of Dallas, where the men are being held. Administration officials are seeking to deport the men who they say are members of the Trinity Aragua gang. There are major questions about whether the government has the authority to apply the Alien Enemies Act to gang members outside of a war situation, whether adjudications, ladies and gentlemen, about gang membership are accurate. The plaintiffs ask only that this court preserve the status quo so that proposed class members will not be sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador before the American judicial system can afford them due process. Their lawyers at the American their lawyers at the American Civil Liberties Union wrote in the Supreme Court filing. In the order, the justices said the government should file a response to the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, application at the Supreme Court as soon as possible. In a statement, Lee Gellerant, the lead ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union attorney in the case, praised the Supreme Court's decision, saying, "These men, quote, these men were in imminent danger of spending their lives in a horrible foreign prison without ever having had a chance to go to court. We are relieved that the Supreme Court has not permitted the administration to whisk them away the way others were just last month." The Supreme Court action follows an April 7 decision in which the court made it clear that any people the government wants to deport under the Alien Enemies Act need to be given the chance to challenge the decision via habeas corpus petitions. The case raises questions questions not just about the Trump administration's aggressive and unprecedented use of the presidential power in invoking the 18th century law, which it has used only when the country was at war. But also about whether his administration is complying with court orders. In its earlier decision, the Supreme Court faulted a judge in Washington for the way he handled the case, but said plaintiffs could sue in the districts in which they are confined. The vote to overturn the lower court was 5-4, with liberal justices joined in part by conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Litigation continues in a separate case over the administration's mistaken deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia to El Salvador. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is a significant turn and turn of events for the Trump regime, the Trump administration / the government. This proves my point of what people have been asking. Can the United States Supreme Court revisit their earlier decisions regarding whether or not they can revisit their decisions? Well, they just did with the Alien Enemies Act. This is significantly going to piss all Republican supporters and cult supporters of Donald Trump off, and right-wing voters and supporters, as they continue to wake up across the country. Follow along, ladies and gentlemen, to stay up to date on all the legal breaking news you need to know about. We will continue to stay aboard and on top of these legal breaking reportings as they come available. If you did enjoy this video for now, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. If you would like to also stay up to date, please, on all the things you need to know about legal breaking reporting, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Major announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, my previous TikTok account was banned. So, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that I have a new TikTok link that I will have in the video description below. I am still the same legal breaking reporter that was on my previous one, Christopher Bond 21. Go ahead and go ahead and subscribe or follow me on TikTok. I am on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like, please help me reach and achieve the overall channel goal of 160 plus subscribers. The reason why I'm saying 160 plus subscribers, ladies and gentlemen, is because right after we reach and achieve the overall subscriber goal of 160 subscribers for the channel, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve right after we reach and achieve the goal, the subscriber goal of 160 subscribers. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive, stay safe, and always look for the points of light in today's legal breaking reporting. Today's induced darkness, unfortunately, caused and illegally caused by the Trump administration and the Trump regime / the U.S. government.